What's up, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another comic book review video where I say words and you, the beautiful people, listen. It is I, your crazy Nicolas Cage, your steward of Gondor, your genius, billionaire playboy, basic YouTuber philanthropist, SuperCliff. And would you kindly hit that like and subscribe button? For every little bit helps, it is majestic YouTube world. And today, folks, we are covering Nocterra, issue number 2. Written by Scott Snyder, with the art drawn by Tony S. Daniel and Tomei Mori. And with all that said, let's get ready to rumble! As our story begins with a flashback, a story about things we can't see. Yeah, so basically the issue starts off with Val and Amori's parents alongside fellow humans, ideally neighbors, people within their community, and they're shown to be conducting a candlelight service. Now, ideally this takes place probably a couple of hours or so following the Big PM, which, in case if y'all have forgotten, the Big PM is what people refer to the moment when the entire world was consumed by darkness. And so, as their parents are attending this candlelight service, we check in with Amori and Val, who are inside their home. And here Val is trying to gather supplies, packing up as many batteries and sources of light that she can find. Because whereas everyone else is shown to be optimistic, Val isn't. Now, as Val is prepping for the worst, Amori is shown to be confused, because we have to remember here that Amori is still very, very young, and he hasn't really gone through the ringer yet, the inevitable shitstorm that's about to transpire. However, deep down, Amori knows that this whole situation's bad, but at the same time, he's still trying to convince himself otherwise, saying that perhaps this is the lobby before entering heaven, and that maybe everything in the end is going to be fine. Now, with regards to Val, she doesn't buy into any of that hope crap, therefore she's not a fan of Superman. Because remember, Val has been blind for most of her life, so it wasn't until recently, following her surgery, that she gained sight. So for Val, she's already been familiarized with the dark. Simply put, she was born in it, adopted by it. Gotham, take control of your city. I just love doing Bane impressions. They literally get me through the year. I digress. But yeah, now although Val is pretty pessimistic, she isn't terrible. So she tries to comfort Amori, telling her brother that, yeah, perhaps everything will be alright, and maybe tomorrow we can get some ice cream. But obviously, we the readers already know things won't pan out quite fine. Now this is where we cut over to the present day, and here Val Riggs is driving her semi-truck and is smashing her lights through the darkness, taking out various shade creatures in the process. Now remember, both Val and Amori are transporting two individuals, an old man and his granddaughter, to a safe haven, which the old man claims has enough light resources to help cure Amori, who is unfortunately, as revealed in the previous issue, infected with the darkness. Eventually, Val pulls up to a place that is called Neon Grove. Such a dope name. And while this page plays out, we're given exposition as to what Neon Grove is. And basically, Neon Grove is a truck stop for ferrymen, which they refer to as ports. Because the current status quo of this world, and it being consumed by darkness, all the semi-trucks are now run on electric. And so yeah, that's what these ports are for, recharge stations. Now as Val is gathering supplies to charge up her rig, the old man walks up to her and starts to have a conversation. Now the conversation the dude brings up is not for the ears for his granddaughter. For this conversation that the two of them are about to have is strictly for adults. And here the old man tells Val that he plans to save the world by bringing back the light, because apparently, back in the day, before the Big PM, the old man and his brother invented a machine that was supposed to see invisible cosmic particles, matter that passes through our universe, without affecting or interacting with anything. And according to theorists amongst the science community, these particles don't interact with light, because they're from alternate planes of existence, where perhaps from their worlds, light comes in different forms. And here the old man refers to these planes as terras. And between the man and his brother, they calculated that about 9 planes existed, and that Earth, well, their universe's plane, was the 4th. But sadly, the machine, which the two built, must have found a wrong protocol or something, because as a result, it caused the world to be consumed by darkness, therefore, lightless. Now keep in mind, because as the old man is telling this story, he's holding a shade flower while this is all being said. Now, Val assures the man that he's not going to save anything. And once Val says that, a shade monster, which was likely a cat at some point, pops out to attack the old man. But with some badass skills, Val is able to stab the shade right through the skull. Now this bombastic interruption is merely a moment to identify the hopelessness that their world has undergone. Because from Val's perspective, the world is shit. It's always been shit. It's always been a dark place. And just because someone like the old man believes in hope, it doesn't mean that hope's actually there. And for Val, she's heard the possibility of hope way too many times to actually believe that there's any. Basically, the only hope Val has at this point is the ability to save her brother from his infection. Now, following this stabbing, Val mentions to the man that she doesn't believe him because as she's watching him, she notices the flower bud that the old guy is holding. And according to Val, she's seen fake sunburns before. And although Val doesn't explain to us as to how a person in this world can create a fake sunburn, she still, however, does inform us that in order to make sure a person's fake sunburn doesn't swell up and stink up, a person has to rub a shade flower against their sunburnt area to prevent it from doing so. Now, before the old man can tell Val otherwise, Val continues on to say that he can lie to his granddaughter all he wants because, frankly, she doesn't give a singular shit. But what Val does say to the old man is that he better have the money once they arrive at their designated location. Later, as Val is working out directions on her map, Amori pops up and tells her that Gus, the old guy, that his granddaughter Bailey told him the same story that the old man told Val. But before their conversation can continue, Amori's hand is revealed to be heavily affected by the infection, as his hand is shown to be covered in black. Val immediately begins to freak out, but Amori tries to calm her down, saying that it's been like this for a while now. Suddenly, the two are interrupted by an incoming call from Bellwether, and it's here where Bellwether warns Val that she needs to get off the roads immediately because someone is apparently chasing them. Now keep in mind, because as Bellwether is saying this, her voice is layered with nervousness. And so this is clearly a way to show us that Bellwether is a badass. And so the fact that she's nervous about the guy that's chasing Val's rig, it's quite a big deal. Bellwether informs Val that the man who's chasing them goes by the name of Blacktop Bill, who apparently was considered to be an urban legend, a ghost. Ooh. But Bellwether is like, no dude, this guy is real. He's the real deal. Like, he's already killed a bunch of people. Now, Val is extremely confused as to why this Blacktop Bill character is chasing her. But Bellwether mentions that Bill isn't after Val specifically, rather he's after Gus, the old man. Now, immediately after hearing Bellwether's warning, we see Val pull a gun on Gus, pointing the pistol directly at his head. And it's here where Val demands that the old man tell her everything that's going on. Before anything can be said, Val's truck alarm begins to sound off, which can only mean that Bill's here. Next, we pan behind Val's rig, where we can see Blacktop Bill and his crew. And they look like they just got off the set of Fast 9. And here it's shown to be a standoff. And while everyone's boarding the truck, Val's truck helmet is hacked into by Blacktop Bill. And it's here where Val and Blacktop Bill begin to discuss the terms to their situation. Bill is claiming that he's willing to negotiate and that if she has any questions regarding the matter, he's more than happy to oblige. Val straight up asks as to what Bill's going to do with her cargo, aka the girl and the old man. And Bill is pretty blunt, because his response basically says that he's going to give the girl a quick death. But the old man, well, the old man's death is going to be done in a savage way, as Bill assures that he's going to drag the old man behind his car until his skin scrapes off, and from there, he'll drag him slowly. And yeah, this is definitely the point where we the readers are like, yo, Blacktop Bill is messed up. Now, in response, Val calls Bill crazy, but Bill's like, yeah, I know that. I'm fucking insane. I'm totally willing to admit my insanity in this world. That's who I am. And here it's where Bill gives Val the ultimatum. If Val drives off, then he's going to be extremely pissed off. Therefore, if and when he does catch up with them, he's going to trap both Amori and Val in a room together, so that when Amori eventually does turn, he'll rip his sister to pieces. The other option, though, is that the two of them can live, if she hands over the cargo. In addition, if Val does so, then Bill will allegedly save Amori's life from the infection, because the people who hired him for this job, they possess a big old solar lamp, one which is a Exelon arc. I think I said that right. Doesn't matter. You get the point. It's a badass piece of tech. Now, Val seems totally willing to do what Bill wants, but before anything happens, Gus the old man calls out, begging Val that he will tell her anything that she wants to know if she just drives away. And so Val demands to know on how much of what Gus had told her earlier was true. And this is where Gus just lets it all out, as Gus reveals that his name is Dr. Augustus McCrae, a theoretical physicist and a theologian. And yes, he did indeed help build a machine which caused the darkness. However, he reveals that he's never been to this sanctuary spot that they're currently en route towards. Now, to his credit, Gus was telling Val the truth, that the sanctuary possesses equipment which can indeed save Amori. But Val is like, okay, that's good and all, but how do I know that you're telling the truth now? And this is where Gus says what we all kind of expect in shitty situations. That the machine that they built was incapable of making a mistake. For its main purpose was to look into the center of the universe to find light, to find heaven. But instead it found this overwhelming darkness, the worst of the worst. And that sadly there is no way to undo the damage. Basically, to sum up his words, they're all in fucking hell. So, like, pretty depressing news. But for Val, well, this eases her mind, because now she knows that the man is telling her the truth. And so, rather than obeying Blacktop Bill, Val pushes a button, which shows her rig releasing canisters. And boom! A giant explosion follows, and with it, Val begins to haul ass forward towards Sanctuary. However, for Blacktop Bill, he's rather quite happy with Val's decision, because Blacktop Bill clearly loves a good chase. Nocterra issue number 2 was another fantastic addition to Scott Snyder's brand new indie comic book series. Much how I mentioned this in my Nocterra issue 1 review, one of the major pros that this book manages to do is being able to provide exposition, whilst continuing to push through the story simultaneously. And yeah, Scott Snyder is able to do this masterfully. He's able to world build and provide us, the readers, with the information and the rules to this dark and mysterious world. Plus, with the use of flashbacks, it's able to provide the backstory needed to flesh out the character of Val Riggs, giving us an inkling as to why she acts and perceives things the way in which she does. Scott Snyder does this to great effect because he's able to do it without breaking the story, and yeah, pun intended. But yeah, the story thus far is really great. I definitely love all the names and terms used to describe certain things, such as Neon Grove. God, it's such a catchy name. And when it comes to Blacktop Bill, dude's definitely an asshole. And yeah, I'm excited to see like where his character goes. Like what other shitty things can this man do? Tony S. Daniel and Tomei Mori's art is a pure gem. It's sort of funny because even though this world is terrifying, the fact that it looks beautiful from an artistic view is awesome. And yeah, if you're looking to read something different, something that isn't your typical Marvel and DC, definitely check out this series because it's dope. Nocterra issue number 2 gets a 9.5 out of 10. Giggity goo. Oh yeah.